They mapped the stars with a precision that defies our understanding. They built stone cities that rivaled any in the ancient world. The Maya civilization, an empire of geniuses, astronomers, and architects. And then, at the height of their power, they vanished. The official story tells us of droughts, wars, social collapse, but that is not the whole truth. It is merely the story they want you to believe. The real truth is buried much deeper, in their blood, in their myths, and in the fall of an empire that wasn't abandoned. It was broken. For centuries, the question has lingered. How could such an advanced civilization collapse so catastrophically? Academics point to decades of drought, evidenced in tree rings and lake sediments. They speak of endless wars between city-states, depleting resources and manpower. These theories are logical. They are safe. And they are the perfect smokescreen for a much more disturbing secret. But the Maya themselves left us clues. In their myths, they spoke of Kukulkán, the feathered serpent, a deity who, according to legend, arrived from the sea, from the east, a fair-skinned god who brought knowledge but whose arrival marked the beginning of a new era, and a new kind of conflict. Historians have always treated this as pure mythology, an allegory. But what if it wasn't? What if it was a testimony? The real twist in this story wasn't found in a pyramid, but in a test tube. In 2023, a controversial genetic study, published far from the mainstream media spotlight, analyzed the DNA of Maya descendants from pure lineages in isolated villages on the Yucatán Peninsula. The goal was to trace their ancient origins. But they found something that shouldn't have been there. A genetic marker, a specific haplogroup, undeniably of European origin. The team's first reaction was to dismiss it as contamination or a result of Spanish colonization. But the dating was the problem. The analysis suggested this lineage wasn't introduced in the 16th century with the conquistadors. It was much, much older. It dated back to a period dangerously close to the beginning of the Maya collapse, around the 9th century. How is this possible? Who would have had the ability to cross the Atlantic 1,000 years before Columbus? The answer may lie in another culture obsessed with the stars and the sea, the Vikings. We know they reached North America around the year 1000, but new evidence suggests their voyages may have been far more extensive and much earlier. What if a small group, perhaps blown off course by a storm, reached the coast of Yucatán? A meeting of two worlds that history never recorded. This would not be a meeting of equals. It would be a clash of realities. The newcomers, perhaps initially seen as the personification of their myths, brought with them not just new technology or ideas, but something far more lethal: division. Imagine the scene. A complex, theocratic society suddenly confronted with outsiders who don't fit into their worldview. The European DNA was not the direct cause of the collapse. It was the catalyst. The arrival of these outsiders may have lit the fuse of a civil war. Some city-states might have allied with them, seeking power, while others saw them as a blasphemous threat. The resulting political instability, combined with the environmental pressure of the drought, created the perfect storm. The Maya were not defeated by an external enemy. They fragmented from within. The feathered serpent did not bring salvation. It brought the poison of discord. The story we've been told about the Maya collapse is a story of victims of climate and war. But the truth that the data and the myths suggest is far more complex. It's a story of intrusion, of a secret buried for 1,000 years. The fall of the Maya Empire wasn't a mystery, it was a cover-up. The proof lies not just in the stones of their pyramids, but in the genetic code of their descendants, a silent echo of an encounter that should have never happened. An echo that forces us to ask, what other truths about our past are still waiting to be discovered?